cool guests. I have Ran Regev and Randall Scribania, and they are joining us from RSB Life. So we're going to talk about life insurance and the benefits to their particular audience. Ran here has been a financial planner and has spent 20 years in the business. He worked for MetLife and was the most successful in the grouping of the largest unit at MetLife. So that means you basically managed and led a giant team, correct?
Basically, yes.
Okay, cool. And you also have a 10-year-old daughter. You're happily married and avid tennis player, as well as a military infantry officer. Okay? Weapons. Weapons. Yeah. You like weapons too. Did I say that? Oh my God, I'm so sorry. That's supposed to be a bubble over my head. Randall, you were at MetLife for 15 years. You've been in the financial industry for 20 years, mostly when you were at MetLife with the nonprofit market, like schools and hospitals, things like that. And you have a beautiful 17-year-old daughter.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, cool.
Exactly.
Very nice.
Well, thanks for having us.
Yeah, you're welcome. Tell me, is there anything you want to give the audience that they should know about you that's interesting? Besides weapons?
I think you pretty much covered the basics.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Nothing that we want to discuss in public, but no, it's
see, smart Alec.
No, as I said, I appreciate the invitation to be here.
Yeah,
It's pretty top notch, and we've caught a bunch of your episodes, and always have fascinating guests, and I always learn every time I listen to it. So it's nice. I count it a privilege to be here. This evening. So thank you. So thank you, Faith.
I definitely appreciate it.
Ran and I we're fired up to be here. So
yes, you've been business partners for quite some time, and your most recent endeavor is RSB Life, and you guys really concentrate a lot on premium financing. And premium finance, when I first heard it, I thought, what is this? And how many people really know what premium finance is?
Not that many.
Not many. Okay, so like a handful of people, or not even a handful of people, really get it. Rand, maybe you could kind of go over what the essence of...
Sure, with pleasure.
That'd be great. I appreciate it.
No, for sure. So to make it simple and understandable, what premium finance is, it's an advanced strategy that the purpose of it is to buy a very large sum of life insurance that most families would need either to pay taxes that are due upon death, what we call estate taxes, or in order to create liquidity for the family. A lot of times when an individual passes, then the family might have business assets or real estate assets, but it might not be the best time to sell them. Let's say, if God forbid, somebody died in 2008.
Like, exactly. Right? When you said before the show, 2008.
Sure.
Bad time.
Sure.
And you usually don't get to plan when you're going to die.
Exactly. Yeah, you don't know when you're leaving. Okay, so just plan ahead. And I think that also has to do with the allocation of things and putting things in a trust. Which a lot of people think about, a will or this, that, and the other thing, or a living will. I'm like, you know what? You need a trust. If you have any sizable amount of assets at all, you got a home, you have money in the bank, money in savings, money in 401ks, whatever. A trust is really, really important. A lot of people don't know that.
Sure.
Unless somebody comes along and goes, you need a trust.
Right.
And also just for privacy's sake, too. Right? So
that's true.
So with dying intestate, you could go down to the courthouse and see anyone's will, so anyone's estate. So with a trust, kind of avoid that. You add the component of privacy too, but and that's part of the premium finance. But
sure. So
so you guys do that too?
So we don't do a trust themselves,
but you recommend.
We recommend. We review them, but the state attorneys are the ones that write them. So a client would come with a trust that we would review, or create a specific one. And there's different things about trust, whether it be a revocable, irrevocable, and it really depends on the specific situation that the client is in. But just to get back to the point of what is premium finance,
yes,
because the need for life insurance is pretty obvious. Now, when somebody who is of net worth and he comes to buy, let's say, a $15 million life insurance policy.
15 million?
15.
Okay, 15 million.
So let's say that he can either pay it over 10 years, paying $500,000 a year over 10 years, that'll be $5 million. Okay. Or he can do a lifetime payment. I'll just throw a number, $100,000 a year. Okay. So that if he's paying it over 10 years and he's paying $500,000 a year, that means that he paid $5 million into the life insurance, which is going to create at some point, hopefully in a very, very long time, it's going to create $15 million. So for every dollar that was put in the policy, he will get $3, 5 to 15. Okay. What premium finance allows us to do is for that individual, instead of paying that $5 million out of pocket, bring a very known, established financial institution, a bank, that will pay the $5 million for him. The client will pay the interest, very similar to a real estate transaction. I can talk about that later. But the client will pay the interest, and the actual math will look like that the client only paid $1 million out of pocket, and he still got that $15 million of life insurance. So he was able to leverage $15 million of life insurance with a cost of $1 million instead of $5 million. So that is the essence of...
For every dollar that he puts in, he gets 15.
Correct.
There it is.
So 15 to 1, as opposed to 1 to 3.
1 to 3.
3 to 1.
Right.
Okay, so...
It's the leverage.
So I want to know, why is a bank going to do that? Somebody help me out with this.
Why is the bank going to do that?
Why is the bank going to pay for somebody's life insurance?
Well, we first of all, the example that we gave, of course, is an example. It depends on age and health situation, but that's generally speaking of 50, 52-year-old man or woman.
Okay.
A bank has all the reasons in the world to do that.
Why?
Because, first of all, the bank is fully collateralized. So if that person passes, the first party that gets paid is the bank. They get paid the loan principal, and then they get, and then the family or the trust gets the remainder. But that's not the only reason that the bank would do that, because that's just returning their principal. The bank will charge interest rates on that loan, and of course that's how banks make money, from interest rates. But also think of the fact that a bank is now being introduced to a very high net worth individual. So this is a great marketing, or even I'd say a prospecting tool for a bank.
A client.
The clients. But not just any client.
Right.
The right type of client for the bank.
And also those clients are, like, when you're successful, you surround yourself, and remember I always tell you this, surround yourself, the top 5 people you surround yourself with you're going to be a composite of them.
Absolutely.
So high net worth individuals know other high net worth individuals, which is really a great way for the bank to bring in clients. If they get treated appropriately, great, then it's like a win-win situation.
Right.
Absolutely.
And to that point,
that makes good sense.
And again,
like that.
who's the typical candidate for premium finance is the high net worth and ultra high net worth individuals. Usually minimum $5 million of assets or greater.
Okay.
$500,000 of liquid net worth. And then an income usually about $400,000 or more on an annual basis.
When I hear this, it makes me think about, peeps, hope you're watching Facebook, all my network marketers, Lena, Suzanne, all my peeps, they're doing like incredible things with network, multi-level marketing, whatever you want to call it now.
Right.
And you guys need to really hear this, because you're going to be there. You need to start setting these things up ahead of time.
Exactly.
I mean, seriously. So anybody who's in network marketing, please, please, please listen to this show again. There's the number on the screen, and at rsblife.com.
Yes.
The number is 888-535-2318. That's 888-535-2318. Call these guys and get this information. Start before you ever get there.
Correct.
Sure.
Prevent being in a situation like Rand was talking about earlier. Okay, why would you really want to do this? What's the point of it? What are the benefits to doing premium finance? And part of that is kind of making sure that your wealth doesn't go down the toilet or you end up intestate, like you said.
Right.
At the end, somebody dies and wow, you didn't have a trust, you didn't have all these things in place.
Proper planning.
Yes.
I mean, one of the examples, we're here down in South Florida, right? So we all know
A lot of wealth. Yes.
Sure, but we also know, like, Miami Dolphins and where they play, which used to be originally called Joe Robbie Stadium, right?
Okay.
Mr. Robbie, that was his baby. So he's the Dolphins and the stadium, and again, due to not poor planning, but just again
kind of unfavorable circumstances.
So in
Yeah,
essence,
that's enough.
passing away, and again, somebody like that, you're looking at a $47 million tax bill that you had 9 months to pay. So in essence, it's
That's crazy.
it is. So we
Could
call
you
that a
imagine
fire
that?
sale, right?
Sure.
Right.
So you said fire sale. So in
Fire
other
sale,
words,
right.
that fire sale just means
Fire,
like
yeah, right.
under really adverse
Conditions.
situations.
Yes, exactly.
So fire sale means that you have to sell, and
Right.
Oh,
usually
okay.
the other parties that are
Got
the
it.
buyers, they know you have to sell, so they're gonna get a better
So they're
deal.
sharks.
Yeah.
They're
Exactly.
waiting for it to go to auction.
They smell
Or
blood. in
like
the
your
water.
estate, your company, whatever it is,
Mhm.
you got people waiting around the corner to just go boop if you don't have things in place.
Correct.
Sure.
Correct.
Okay, folks, I hope you're listening to this. Please, 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 even if you don't have a super high net worth right now, in 5 to 10 years, that could be you. Plan now.
Correct.
Come and investigate. You guys do consultations, right?
Sure.
Absolutely.
They'll do consultation. They'll sit down and they'll discuss this with you so that you can begin to plan now. I mean, I just think that's really critical.
And Faith, to that point, again, we throw out the $5 million net worth number. I know we've worked with professional athletes. So
Okay.
young, one particular individual comes to mind, young kid, in his 20s, very early in his career. He's on the PGA Tour, making $1.5 million, $1.8 million. So he might not necessarily have the $5 million net worth,
Right.
but what's the earning potential of,
Huge.
of a 20-year-old? Exactly.
Yeah, if he stays in the game and he does really well, are you
Exactly.
kidding me? He's going to make a boatload of money.
Correct. So those are candidates too. And you mentioned, network marketing,
Yep.
direct marketing. Absolutely. They're. I mean, we've got a lot of. Matter of fact, 2 of our larger cases are involved with multi-level marketing. So
Wow.
it's great candidates. And but again, regardless, we're happy to help anybody.
Anybody, yes.
But our emphasis, with RSB Life, really has been premium financing.
Yeah.
Because we've done Rand and I have done combined about 60 cases. Yeah, so
Do you-
60 cases.
Do you have any idea how many that's a lot?
It is
That's a lot of people that if you hadn't been there
right.
and shown them what to do, they would be in a very precarious position.
Correct.
God forbid if anything happened, they wouldn't be protected. That's not okay. When I hear that, that's just not okay.
That's why we put the uniform on every day.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because there's a field of people out there going, hey, I'm over here, I need you.
Exactly.
I like that analogy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because it's
absolutely.
very true, but you just don't know that they're out there. but because there's such a huge demand for it now, and as as I'm telling my audience, you guys are entrepreneurs, and you think whatever that maybe you're not there yet, but I know plenty of people over the last 2 to 3 years that went from making not a whole lot to millions
Right.
of dollars
Yes.
on online businesses.
Yes.
Really? You know what? I would name a few of you, but I'm going to contact you anyway and let you know. I'm going to send you messages because they need this.
We literally see it every day.
Yeah.
We see it every day. And again, Rand talked to the idea of just, again, not just life insurance, which, again, there needs to be that life insurance
Yes.
need for that component. But, again, it's also a significant, a fantastic way for a significant supplemental income with a preferred tax.
So
benefit.
can you explain how that works, guys? What
Sure,
what does that
course.
look like?
Sure. So just life insurance as a whole enjoys a very specific preferred way of treatment when it comes to taxes.
Why?
Because just the way the tax code is set. So
Okay.
life insurance, without getting too technical, is one of the few assets out there that when the client takes out the money, first he takes out the principal as opposed to taking his gains, his earnings.
Okay.
So if I put $5 million into a policy and now my cash value is $7 million, well, the first $5 million that I'm taking out
Right.
are essentially tax-preferred or tax-free because they're my principal.
Okay.
Now, of course, assuming the policy was structured correctly and there wasn't any issues with it, which, of course, that's what we specialize in
exactly.
doing over,
Is
30
to make
years
sure
of
that there
business.
aren't issues.
Right,
Correct.
right,
Okay.
exactly. And,
Okay. Which makes sense.
right.
Staying within the legal bounds, yeah, of
Okay.
course.
Of course.
Exactly.
Yeah, so if this policy, if it's designed correctly, and we put a lot of premiums in play, more than are needed just to support the life insurance portion of it, the client can have, like Randall mentioned, a supplemental tax-preferred income stream that can be very significant. So
It's like being your own bank.
Excellent.
Did
Excellent.
I say that out loud? Wait, did y'all hear this? That's like being your own bank.
That's a great analogy. Yeah.
I like that.
Are we allowed to say that?
Well, no, I said it. Okay, I said it.
Exactly.
They didn't say
Exactly.
that. Okay.
it's not, yeah, there's many concepts that call themselves in a similar way, bank on yourself and things
Would
like
you
that.
would you consider this as a 727?
A 727.
727 policy. There are policies that are called 727s.
Yes, we've had this. Yeah,
Okay.
I know we've had this
Yeah.
discussion. Yeah, exactly. No, the concept is, and Rand saying, so we're paying for it with post-tax dollars, after-tax dollars. So we've paid taxes on it, putting money in. It's growing on a tax-favored basis.
And we didn't even pay it out of pocket. We brought a bank to pay it for
Correct.
us.
Exactly. So we're getting that leverage. We're getting the leverage. That
Yes.
the analogy of like
The
15
1 to 15
1. Yeah,
to
exactly.
1. I mean,
Exactly.
who doesn't want that? I mean, if you
Correct.
sat that down in front of someone,
Exactly.
for them to see that,
Right.
I'd be like, yes, sign me up for that one.
Faith, one of our challenges is that every time we sit down with a client, and I honestly say every time, it never has not happened. The first reaction that we're getting is that this is too good to be true. Now, we were all brought up on the idea that when something's too good to be true,
It's not true. It's a lie.
It's not true.
It's false. There's something wrong with it. There's issues.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why when we're sitting, before the show, I was explaining that although this has a lot of benefits, it's very important to sit down and understand it the way that it is. And as opposed to a regular life insurance that, you sometimes meet with a client, he says, let's go for it.
Right.
And within 2-3 weeks, the policy is set. This is a much longer process
Oh.
that can take up to,
How long?
several months. It can so the minimum that it will take will be 2 to 3 months, because here's what needs to happen.
Oh, accredited financials.
Well,
Yes.
exactly. So we need
That's
to
got to be part of it.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure. We need to choose the right life insurance company, and usually we're not going to take one company. We're going to blend it between two major carriers because we want to spread the risk. Although all these carriers have been in business for over 100 years, and there's a lot of mechanisms in the industry to deal with what happens if a company goes under.
Okay.
Even if we don't think about that scenario, we still want to see that if there's two companies and both of them are crediting the cash value on a different basis, well, if one's not going to work as well as we plan, the second one will. So we're diversifying our risk. It's almost like saying
So like your portfolio. So you don't you never put all your eggs in one basket.
all your eggs in one basket. Right.
You're literally doing that diversification.
Right.
But what you guys are doing it with are the actual companies that
Right.
you're doing the
Diversifying
policies
among
with.
companies.
So that's why it takes a few months, 2-3 months, maybe a little more, whatever,
Right.
because you've got to do all the due diligence,
exactly.
and then you got to pick the right companies
And-
according to the client's needs,
Exactly.
their income, what their expected income is. There's a lot to consider here.
Sure.
Yeah.
And the client needs to pick the right bank. So
Wait,
we work-
they pick the bank,
well,
or you pick the bank? I
let's-
mean, because there's got to be some sort of a blend here. That
right. Let's say it like this: 5-6 years ago, the banks that were giving premium finance, life insurance loans were very few and far in between,
why?
because the whole
a lot of questions.
That's fine.
That's
that's
a lot
right.
of questions.
The whole concept of premium finance is relatively new in financial markets. We're talking about maybe 15, 20 years. That's a baby for a financial product.
Yes.
Right. So these days, most of the major banks and a lot of specialized banks will offer this type of financing.
Okay.
So for us, it would be to shop for the best offer for the client, because there's a lot of different types of loans. We can structure them with fixed interest rate, variable interest rates, although
Okay.
we prefer the fixed ones.
Why do you
There's-
prefer fixed over variable?
Well, we're in an environment, just today in the news, they were talking about raising interest rates. You know,
yeah, now I see what you're saying.
Right.
So
So,
we're historically low interest rate environment.
For now. I mean, it
Correct.
has been
Right.
for umpteen years.
Correct.
But that
Correct.
doesn't mean that it's always going to be that way.
Exactly.
I mean,
Yes.
like, if you look at the history of it, you know, we've gone like 12, 15%, 8,
course.
7, 6,
Sure.
2.
can I tell a very
Yes.
short story,
Yes,
Faith?
please.
So
I
I'm
love
sitting,
stories.
Sure. So my wife loves photo albums, and she went, we went over them many, many times. And this one
Does
day,
she do scrapbooking?
yes.
I love it.
So
I
we're-
don't.
So we're looking at one of her photo albums, and we're turning the pages, and then I say, "Stop!" I'm looking at the picture, and she's saying, "What about it?" She's maybe 5 or 6, very cute little girl in that picture, and she says, "What's special about this picture?" So she's standing in the Bronx, in New York, where she was born and raised in, and she's standing in front of a bank. Now behind her are the mortgage interest rates, and they're like at 14%, 15%
Yes.
interest rate. We're talking about 1984, 85.
Wow.
And that's what I was looking at. They always talk about it, but here you see it right in front of you.
In
Wow.
real
Right,
life.
exactly.
Yeah. And again, I obviously just the concept is it's a dynamic strategy to help these our clients. I mean, I don't know. It's neat when we're working with people that are at the top of their game. You know, they're people, and Rand always says it. These are people that could pay these premiums out of pocket
Right.
if they needed to or wanted to.
Right.
But
They understand leverage.
they understand leverage.
Because-
OPM.
Yeah, other people's money. That's
people's
what I
money.
always say. Remember, other people's money. Do not use your own money.
Correct.
OPM. Wherever
So-
you can find it.
So
I can help
if we
you with
can
that.
borrow, if we get to to Rand's point, if we can borrow at 3.5%, 4.5% interest, and then we're going to get that positive arbitrage of what we're getting from the distribution from the insurance company. When you're doing it on $100,000, but now all of a sudden we're leveraging to $1 million and getting that positive arbitrage over that 10-year period. It's just really, it's very powerful, and that's
Agreed.
why it's one of the reasons why a lot of these people, wealthy, successful entrepreneurs, high net worth individuals,
Athletes,
they are
network marketing,
exactly.
everybody.
They're attracted to this.
And,
So
and here's another thing to think about. This I'm getting all these thoughts while we're talking about this. You know what? You can be at the top of your game, be the best athlete out there. You can be the greatest entrepreneur. Okay, you've got down the visionary, you've got down leadership, you've got down the technical part of it, and you might just be dumber than a sack of rocks. But then again, you might not apply it to what you're
To your own
doing,
finances, right.
or you might not have time, or you might not think that, wow, that's not very important. 5 years passes and you're like, oh crap, what did I do?
I'm thinking of some of our best clients are, dropped out of college. So I mean, one of
They're
my
entrepreneurs.
exactly.
Yes.
I heard a story about Elon Musk was saying these. Well, okay, never mind.
Yes, go ahead.
Oh,
Blurt it
just,
out.
Just the idea.
don't swear.
Again, well, that entrepreneurial mind. We
It's
admire
very
that,
different.
and that's the people. Those are the people that we're dealing with, and because again, they understand that they pour the money back into their business, and they can magnify and multiply their businesses. So they understand they need the life insurance. They understand it's a great tool, for estate taxes and also for that supplemental income in a tax preferred basis. But you know what? Hey, Rand, can we do it without taking money out of the business? And that's a
And
solution.
you say, Absolutely.
Exactly.
Your answer is always yes.
That's it.
We can structure it. We can fix it. We can do what the client needs. And I can't even imagine how much relief you have given people in those situations when, they've got enough stress as it is with trying to get their businesses going. And this is my fun night.
Right.
I love entrepreneurs. It's why I sit here, because this is it. This is everything. Anyway, okay, guys. So, thank you so much for coming.
Sure,
I appreciate it.
It was a pleasure.
You guys, once again, 888-535-2318, rsblife.com. Please look them up. Have a consult. Thanks so much for joining us this evening here on the Faith Washington Show. Guys, I appreciate you showing up.
Thanks for having us. Appreciate
Love to
it.
come back again. We are live on Facebook, Periscope, 95.3 FM, 1470 AM, and the iHeartRadio app, WWNN. Have a great night. See you next week. Bye. You've been listening and watching The Faith Washington Show, where we have widened your view of the world. Our guests share their business, family, and fun life hacks to make your world better. Hope you've learned something to apply to your life and business.
The opinions expressed on the preceding sponsored program were strictly those of its hosts, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of this station, its staff, management, or sponsors.
Talk 1470 and 95.3 FM, the Health and Wealth Radio Network. Pull up a chair at the Brooklyn Cafe with Dawn and Freddie S. Weekdays at 1 p.m. WNN. Talk 1470 is WWNN Pompano Beach and 95.3 FM W237BD Boca Raton, the Health and Wealth Radio Network.
Medicare